toll-free. You're next. Hello? You're on the air.
Hello, Rick.
Yes, who's this?
I'm calling from Hades.
Oh, my.
I just wanted to give out a fair warning to these serial killers who think they can get away with their murders and commit suicide, that they're not getting away with it.
Is this the Beelzebub? Is this Old Scratch? Is this the devil?
No, it's not.
Well, who is this?
That's a misinterpretation that Satan is the king of hell.
Who is?
I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I have a 3-letter name.
Then Dan's finger hovers over the dump button.
Pardon?
And go right ahead.
That's something like that. Now,
Yes.
the Lord of the universe is the Lord of hell.
That's it? That's all you're going to tell me?
I'm telling these serial killers that think they can get away with it, they're not.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone is now dumber for having listened to it. May God have mercy on your soul.
Live talk radio. It's like being a cab driver. You pick up a fare, and they break wind in your back seat, and you have to stop and let them out. Alice in Utah, you're next. Hello.
You have mentioned earlier, a lot earlier this morning, something about Walmart and how people taking action.
Wait a minute. Was that this program? Because I don't believe I mentioned Walmart.
Was it not?
No, we've been talking about raising kids. Unless you buy your kids clothes at Walmart, I don't think I said anything about it.
It was something about finding lost children. Do you remember that?
That wasn't this program.
Oh, I must have changed the channel. Anyway, well, darn.
Well, don't change it now.
Let me, no.
Okay.
Let me just run over what they said then. The point was that people say we need to recover the lost children in the United States. And Walmart is doing it. They recover 200 or so every year, and it's this.
Do you work for Walmart?
I don't work for Walmart.
Oh, I thought this was some sort of an unsolicited free plug or something.
I'm sorry, I don't. I work for a garden. But there's that point. And do you believe that people should take action rather than just talk about things?
Well, I hope that the conversation, and I appreciate you checking in, thanks for the call. I hope the conversation like this helps you. What was that show, Zoom? Come on in, Zoom, kids show. And they tell the kids at the show, they say, okay, now you watch this on the show, then go out and Zoom. Go out and do it. We'll show you how to make a little project or show you how to put paper cups together and build a castle or whatever, and then you're supposed to go do it. And programs like this, it's why I try not to sit here and sound like a loudmouth, rambling know-it-all that doesn't need any input from you. It's because I think we should discuss these things, and I think that I know we're reaching the entire United States. And that there are people listening that have kids, and they go, maybe these callers are right, and maybe Rick's right. And maybe I am. Maybe I'm wrong. You'll tell me either way. Phone number here, 888-860-8785. I give this a lot of thought before I sit down in this chair. I realize I'm reaching an awful lot of people. And I don't want to come off sounding like I said, a blithering idiot. We're talking about kids. The most important thing we have, the future. We don't want to talk about it in a light fashion. I think some things merit serious discussion. Sean L. in Cleveland, you're next.
Rick Gilmour.
Sean L.
I tell you, Rick Gilmour, you got the best show on the radio.
Hey, I got you on cart. Want to hear it?
I don't want to hear nothing.
Wait a minute, here it is. Just hang on a second.
Rick Gilmour used the salt of the earth.
How's that?
That you is.
I played that on national radio earlier today.
I don't,
people in California and in Denver and in Florida, people in Atlanta, people in Idaho, they heard you, Sean L.
Well, that's the truth.
Slip sliding up and down Hayden Avenue. What are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm broke Willie nigga tonight. I've been drinking Black Label, Old Mabel.
Old Mabel, Black Label.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
You're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, well, you know.
Hey, but it works, I'll tell you that.
That's right. But I think just one look at that dude, man, he all twisted up. Just one look at that man, and he ain't all there. And they ought to put him in the chair and put them psychiatrists right next to him, because they all messed up just like him.
He did look a little twisted, didn't he? He did have that sort of twisted puzzled dog. You ever seen the puzzled doggy look?
Yeah.
If you look at a dog and you go, woo, bop, 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 woo, make funny noises, and they turn their head at an angle and stare at you, I call that the puzzled doggy look.
Yeah.
Some people have the puzzled doggy look. Scott Struthers has the puzzled doggy look.
Yeah, but they got to show you about that Shaker Heights. See, now he all twisted up looking, but that's okay in Shaker Heights, you know, because they all got their money and everything. You know, he all right up there because he's smart and stuff, you know. He all got their 150 IQ and stuff.
And psychiatrists, and probably a damn good lawyer, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you or I did that, we'd end up on death row.
That's right.
They'd plant a purse on us and say you stole it.
That's right.
Well, that's a shame.
That funky stuff goes on up there about that dude a couple years ago, 5-10 years ago, killed that girl, and he's walking the street.
Oh, there's always funny business going on in the rich neighborhoods.
Yeah, he playing chess over there in Coventry or something, you know.
Yeah, I know. It's a strange world we live in. I want you to be careful with your Black Label. You're not going to go out and get behind the wheel or anything, are you?
No, I ain't going out tonight, Rick Gilmour.
Okay, well, you was watching TV?
Yeah, I was watching it, Unforgiven.
Well, I'm watching on the Superstation. They got Deliverance.
Oh.
They're just about getting ready for the love scene here coming up, so...
I don't think I get there.
Well, I hope you don't get the love scene from Deliverance ever. Sean L., I gotta run.
All right, Rick Gilmour.
All right, bye-bye. What I want to do right now is purge a little bit and tell you a little story while I wait for those phone lines to fill up. Something I have had on my chest for, 20-some years, and I'll apologize for it after I let you know. And I call this story the Great Beer Robbery of 1977. I don't know if I've told this story on the radio. That's something I'm a little embarrassed about, but that's okay. It's a good story. You'll enjoy it. Thanksgiving of 1977, me and three friends took my father's Toyota when I was not old enough to drive. And we drove up to the local 7-Eleven store. I do not condone this kind of behavior, and please don't look at me like I'm some sort of a scofflaw. I think the statute of limitations is up on this. We drove up there, and I walked inside. I don't even know whether I should be telling this. I'll go ahead and tell it. All right. So, drove up there, and I walked in, and I says, "Can I use the bathroom? Could I use the bathroom? Oh, I feel sick." And the guy said, "Sure." So I walked into the back of this 7-Eleven store, which no longer exists, opened the back door, and started loading beer out of the cooler outside. I was a kid. I was like 15 or something. I shouldn't have done it. Like I say, should I tell this story? I'm purging, I'm cleansing, I'm apologizing to you for it. And we took that beer and ran it across the field that was so filled with snow that the snow would come up to your chest. Filled up the Toyota with beer. I mean, literally. The seats, inside, outside, the trunk, everywhere. Filled this thing up with beer. And drove down a side street, which no longer exists. And my friend Scott was with me. He was one of the three that was with me, and he says, "Windshield's not looking right here. Let me turn on the defroster." I said, "No," because the car was screwed up. There was something wrong with it. And all of a sudden, instantly, the windshield just completely frosted up, and I drove right off the road and into a ditch. Two pickup trucks stopped and chained themselves together. They had to hook themselves together to pull me out of that ditch. So we gave them beer for their trouble. Drove the car home, unloaded all the beer out of the Toyota, and put it in the front of my 1961 Corvair. If you ever seen a Corvair, they have the engine in the back and the trunk in the front. Loaded it up with beer, went inside, and had a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner. I don't know what happened to the poor clerk. Now, the story's not through. That's not the whole story. So later we decided, okay, we'd go out driving around. Now, mind you, I don't have a license. This is Thanksgiving night. There's a bar out in North Olmsted called Fuzzy's. It used to be called the Black Light. Went out driving around, and we saw a girl we went to school with named Mary, and she was wearing her long Air Force coat and walking around miles and miles from where she lived, and we stopped and picked her up, and I said, what in the world are you doing, Mary? And she said, well, trying to find Bronson Road. Well, I didn't know that Bronson Road is not off of Cook Road, so we're driving up and down Cook Road, and woo! North Olmsted cop pulls me over. Says, "Could you follow us, please?" I said, "Sure, I'll follow you." And we followed him, and he took us up to the Black Light Lounge. Now, we're looking, and there's people inside, looking out from the bar, looking out and pointing to us and nodding yes. And I said, "Can I ask what this is about?" He goes, "Can I search your car?" I said, "Sure, I guess." He goes, "Can I see your license?" I said, "I don't have it with me." Well, my friend's dad was a court referee. This is Scott, the same guy that was in the Toyota earlier. And he says, you can call my dad. He'll tell you I have a license. Well, they called his dad, and his dad thought I had a license because I gave Scott a ride to school every day, even though I didn't have a license, and so they believed him. I says, what's going on? And he says, those people inside that bar are looking out here because someone robbed this bar, and we're comparing your footprints in the snow. It was 2 guys and a girl. I said, oh, all right. So he says, well, anyway, he wanted to look inside the car, and then he says, okay, you guys are clear. You can go. You didn't do it. I said, all right, that's cool. So we left. We all get in the car. We're driving up the street. It's colder than hell. A Corvair has no heat anyway, hardly. And Mary reaches underneath the front seat and pulls out a Band-Aid box and shakes it and says, at least they didn't find my pills. I said, what? She said, my drugs. I stopped the car and I says, get out. She said, it's cold out here. I said, get out of the car. I don't care if you freeze to death.
This from a guy who stole beer.
Crazy woman. Anyway, so they let us go and we went to a party and we drank all the beer. So I apologize for it. I'm sorry. I was just a kid.
His name is Gilly, cheesy chili, talk show silly. He's on the AM dial. He looks a little like Steve Buscemi. His callers have all leaky bellies. He was sponsored by Jack's Beverage and Deli. He's on Saturday and Sunday night. Well, Gilly's on the air and you know everything's alright. He's hated by a radio critic. The plain dealer's #1 idiot. A man who goes by the name of Roger Brown. He never seems to find old Gilly on the radio dial. It's just silly. I think that man has a grudge on the AM dial. Lynn Tolliver sucks. Trapper Jack, you're out of style. His name is Gilly, the cheesy chili, talk show silly. He's on the AM dial. Red battled by Steve Buscemi. His callers have all leaky belly. He's sponsored by Jack's Beverage and Deli on the near west side. The Gilly's on the air and you know everything's alright.